Before the life you want arrives, your body must feel safe receiving it. And this is the part no one talks about. How the soul evolves faster than the nervous system. How the vision comes before the capacity. How the future you ache for hovers inches from your fingertip, but your body is still bracing for the past. You call it resistance. You call it self-sabotage. You call it fear. But what if it's simply a body that has never known safety in expansion? A body that learned to tighten instead of receive. A body that learned to survive instead of soften. So life stays outside the door, not because you are unworthy, but because your system has not yet learned how to open. You feel the exhaustion, the quiet collapse no one sees, the heaviness behind the eyes, the bone-deep weariness of carrying a self that was never allowed to rest. You feel yourself drift out of your own skin sometimes, numb, floating, untethered, like consciousness is here but living, a few inches to the left of where breath happens. You tell yourself you should be further by now. You should be stronger by now. You should be clearer, lighter, more certain. But every should is just another way. Your nervous system hears. You are not safe here. No one ever taught you that your body is a gatekeeper, that your nervous system is the threshold of destiny. That manifestation is not about pulling life towards you. It is about becoming someone who no longer flinches when it arrives. You have outgrown so much, and yet the echoes still live inside you. Old alarms, old contractions, old templates that tighten around your ribs when your soul tries to expand. And so you hover in the in-between. Not broken, but not yet released. Not trapped, but not yet sovereign. A chrysalis with memory. This is where the quiet collapse begins. Not dramatic, not loud, not seen by the world. Just the slow erosion of what no longer fits, pressing against a nervous system that doesn't yet know how to let go. You feel yourself unraveling in places you cannot name. Tiny internal fractures, splinters of what you once pretended to be falling away without ceremony. And there is grief here before the healing. There is a dissolving. Before there is a dawn, you are not failing, you are molting. The collapse is not a punishment. It is the nervous system whispering, we cannot carry this version anymore. The soul will always ask you to grow, but the body will ask, is it safe if we do? That question, unseen, unspoken, is what lives beneath every hesitation, every delay, every, I don't know why I'm stuck. You are not stuck. You are stalled at the threshold of becoming, waiting for the body to trust the light you are calling in. And this is the holy pause, the place where the old tension loosens. Not because you forced it, but because you finally notice how tightly you have been holding your breath. The place where collapse is not a breaking, but a softening. Not an ending, but an unclenching. Not a failure, but a sacred exhale you were never allowed to take before now. There comes a moment, quiet and almost imperceptible, where the collapse stops feeling like a threat and begins feeling like relief. Not because anything is fixed, but because you are no longer fighting. The part of you that is tired, the unraveling, does not begin with courage. It begins with honesty. With the whisper, I can't hold myself together anymore. Spoken not in defeat, but in truth. You don't shed the old self all at once, you loosen it. Thread by thread, breath by breath, micro-release by micro-release. Not healing, just unclenching. Not transformation. Just no longer pretending to be the one who could carry everything in silence. There is a grief that surfaces here, not loud, not dramatic, but ancient. The grief of how long you have been holding your own spine for the world. The grief of how early you learned that softening was unsafe. The grief of every place. Your nervous system learned hypervigilance instead of home. You do not melt because you are weak. You melt because your body is finally safe enough to admit how long it has been frozen. This is the ego shedding. Not the glamorous phoenix moment, but the shedding of armor so old you forgot it wasn't your skin. You are not losing yourself here. You are losing the scaffolding you mistook for a spine. There is a tenderness that comes before rebirth, a nakedness the psyche resists because it has no mask to hide behind. You can feel the rawness of it, like standing without walls, like breathing without shielding, like your insides have stepped into daylight before they were ready to be seen. But this exposure is not punishment. It is the body unbuilding. What numbness guarded. You are learning transparency with yourself before transparency with life. This is why everything feels stripped, hollow, unsteady. Your nervous system is reorganizing, deconstructing the identity built around survival. There is no timeline here, no speed, no pushing your way forward. Only the quiet dissolving of who you were trained to be. So there is room for who you actually are. And in the midst of this deconstruction, you may feel disoriented, as if you are floating between versions of yourself with no ground underfoot. This middle space feels like nothingness, but it is gestation. It is the sacred in between, where identity unhooks, where old vigilance unwinds, where the future waits for your body to soften enough to let it land. The in-between is not empty. It only feels empty because there is nothing left to grip. No identity to cling to, no story to hide behind, no old pattern solid enough to anchor you back into who you once were. This is why the void feels unsettling. Not because nothing is happening, but because everything is happening beneath the surface where the mind cannot watch or manage it. Here, the nervous system stops performing and begins listening. Here, the body finally tells the truth. I cannot live armored and receive softness at the same time. This is the beginning of safety, not the loud kind, not triumph or breakthrough, but the slow dissolving of guardedness, like a frost softening under the first heat of morning. You do not rise yet, you thaw. Pieces of you begin unclenching that you didn't even know were holding tension. The psyche loosens its grip. The breath sinks deeper than before. Something within you stops scanning for danger and starts scanning for possibility. It feels strange, almost disorienting, because hypervigilance has been your home, and the absence of threat can feel like loss before it feels like peace. The nervous system does not meet the new life by forcing expansion, but by unlearning contraction. A soft rewiring takes place here. Not an awakening of the mind, but of the body. Safety is what opens the gate. Before destiny ever approaches it, you are not preparing for the next level. You are becoming someone who can live there without bracing. This is the part the world mislabels, as if nothing sacred is occurring. But this is where the soul teaches matter how to soften. This is where your cells learn what your spirit already knows, where the timeline is no longer dictated by urgency but by resonance, where nothing is rushing you because nothing is missing. The void is not a holding cell, it is consecration. The place where your nervous system begins to trust that life is no longer an intruder, where receiving becomes less foreign than gripping, where softness becomes less threatening than vigilance. There's a subtle turning here, a reorientation invisible to the world, but tectonic within. You have not risen yet, but the body has stopped kneeling to fear. You are not reborn yet, but you are no longer loyal to what kept you small. This is the first permission, the permission to exist without performing safety, the permission to belong to your own breath without apology. This is how rebirth begins. Not as a blaze of glory, but as the slow remembering that nothing pursuing you now requires you to disappear to survive. Rebirth is never sudden. It is a slow permissioning, a soft turning toward life from the inside out. You don't decide to rise. You simply stop refusing what wants to meet you. The body begins to unfasten its guard, not because the mind commands it, but because safety has finally become more familiar than threat. And in that subtle shift, receiving becomes possible. Not the outer receiving, not blessings or outcomes, but the first primal receiving, presence. You begin to feel yourself here again, not hovering above your life, not braced against your own becoming, but inhabiting the inner ground you once abandoned to survive. This is the quiet miracle, not manifestation, but inhabitation, the return of self inside self. It is faint at first, like an ember beneath ash, like a pulse rediscovering its rhythm, like the soul stretching into space that once belonged only to vigilance. You begin to experience softness, not as a danger, but as a homecoming. Your nervous system starts to recognize that goodness does not have to be earned, that love does not require contraction. This is where the frequency shifts, not because your mind reached for more, but because your body finally stopped gripping against what was already yours. You are not rising toward a life, you are rising into one. The next level is not ahead of you. It is inside the place where your body no longer fears arrival. You become permeable again, not unprotected, just no longer barricaded. Energy flows differently through you. Not as striving, but as current. Not as forcing, but as opening. Not as pursuit, but as resonance. You do not attract from here. You allow. And without announcement, without proof, without breakthrough fireworks, you are already becoming the woman your future belongs to. Not performing her, not manifesting her, remembering her. She was never missing. You were just too braced to meet her. Your becoming is not an achievement, it is a restoration. The body finds its way back to the soul, and the soul finally has somewhere to land. This is what readiness truly means. Not alignment of desire, but alignment of capacity. Not, I want it, but I can hold it. Not, I am manifesting, but I am safe now. And in that safety, in that nervous system level surrender, the threshold begins to open. Not through effort, but through embodiment. Not through becoming more, but through no longer abandoning who you already are. Rebirth is never sudden. It is a slow permissioning, a soft turning toward life from the inside out. You don't decide to rise. You simply stop refusing what wants to meet you. The body begins to unfasten its guard, not because the mind commands it, but because safety has finally become more familiar than threat. And in that subtle shift, receiving becomes possible. Not the outer receiving, not blessings or outcomes, but the first primal receiving, presence. You begin to feel yourself here again, not hovering above your life, not braced against your own becoming, but inhabiting the inner ground you once abandoned to survive. This is the quiet miracle, not manifestation, but inhabitation, the return of self inside self. It is faint at first, like an ember beneath ash, like a pulse rediscovering its rhythm, like the soul stretching into space that once belonged only to vigilance. You begin to experience softness, not as a danger, but as a homecoming. Your nervous system starts to recognize that expansion is not a threat. That joy does not require punishment. After that, goodness does not have to be earned. That love does not require contraction. This is where the frequency shifts, not because your mind reached for more, but because your body finally stopped gripping against what was already yours. You are not rising toward a life. You are rising into one. The next level is not ahead of you. It is inside the place where your body no longer fears arrival. You become permeable again, not unprotected, just no longer barricaded. Energy flows differently through you, not as striving, but as current, not as forcing it, but as opening, not as pursuit, but as resonance. You do not attract from here. You allow. And without announcement, without proof, without breakthrough fireworks, you are already becoming the woman your future belongs to, not performing her, not manifesting her, remembering her. She was never missing. You were just too braced to meet her. Your becoming is not an achievement, it is a restoration. The body finds its way back to the soul, and the soul finally has somewhere to land. This is what readiness truly means. Not alignment of desire, but alignment of capacity. Not I want it, but I can hold it. Not I am manifesting, but I am safe now. And in that safety, in that nervous system level surrender, the threshold begins to open. Not through effort, but through embodiment. Not through becoming more, but through no longer abandoning who you already are. Receiving is not a doorway you walk through, it is a body you learn to inhabit. When the nervous system softens, life no longer feels like something you must manage. It becomes something you can belong to. Here, sovereignty is not power over, it is power with, power through, power anchored in the self that no longer leaves. The world will not recognize this moment in you. There's no applause for nervous system rebirth. No crowd gathers for the quiet woman who finally decides that she does not have to brace to stay alive. But the soul recognizes it. The field around your body changes, first in texture, then in tone, then in invitation. People feel you differently because you feel yourself differently, not armored, not hidden behind vigilance or myth, just here, soft-spined, earth-backed, sky-fed. You become a place that your own spirit can rest inside. That is the arrival, not the external gain, not the milestone, not the proof. The arrival is when your inner world stops trembling under its own longing. There is a calmness here that has nothing to do with numbness and everything to do with remembrance. You are not working to become her. You are remembering how natural it is to live unbraced. And this is why peace feels foreign at first. Not because it is new, but because it is ancestral. Older than the wound, older than the armor, older than the survival you mistook for destiny. You are not learning safety, you are returning to it. The body simply needed time to trust what the soul already knew. You didn't have to push harder. You didn't have to manifest more. You didn't have to command the future. You only had to stop abandoning yourself. In the places where fear had welded you shut, the next level was never waiting outside of you. It was waiting for you to stay inside your body long enough to feel worthy of landing there. This is the true alchemy. Not thought to matter, but nervous system to frequency, capacity to embodiment. You no longer chase alignment, you become a resting place for it, and in that shift, a deep, cellular yes forms without effort. A yes that does not tighten. A yes that does not cost you your breath. A yes that does not require self-abandonment to sustain. This is not manifestation, and this is homecoming. Soft sovereignty isn't loud. It doesn't need to announce itself or prove its evolution. It is the quiet kind of power, the kind that lives in the nervous system as permission instead of defense. You do not become untouchable. You become unmoved. Not hardened, not guarded, simply rooted in a deeper law than fear ever taught you. You are no longer governed by the nervous system of the old self, the one trained to flinch, to shrink, to brace for what might go wrong. You feel yourself breathing differently, as though space has opened between every rib. There is no performance here, no reaching outward for validation, no scanning for danger under the guise of readiness. There is only occupancy of your own aliveness, your own name, your own inner ground. The body begins to feel like a home instead of a holding cell. Your shoulders no longer grip the air. Your chest no longer waits for impact. Your pulse no longer gallops at the memory of a life you've already outgrown. This is what regulation really is. Not stillness, but self-return. Not confidence, but coherence. Not ascension back into presence, back into sensation, back into the sacred animal of the flesh. That carries your becoming, and now, quietly, almost imperceptibly, you can receive tenderness without doubting it, receive goodness without bracing for collapse, receive expansion without abandoning your breath. The soul does not rise until the body agrees to come with it. And now, for the first time, they are walking in the same direction. This is why destiny begins to feel close. Not as longing, but as resonance. Not as a fantasy, but as a frequency. The next level was never a door. It was a nervous system, capable of standing in the life you once had to dream from a distance. The woman you are becoming is not a future self. She is a self you finally have the capacity to live as. You do not chase her. You remember her. And in that remembering, you stop reaching outward. Because the altar has always been inward. You become the safe haven you once searched for in circumstances. The miracle is not that life arrives, but that you are finally able to stay present when it does. You do not need a breakthrough now. You are becoming the space where breakthrough is no longer required. You are no longer pleading with life to come closer. Your nervous system understands now. What your soul has always known, receiving is remembrance, not attainment. Arrival is embodiment, not achievement. You are not moving toward your next level. You are relaxing into it. It was never waiting in the future. It was waiting in the body. All manifestation is nervous system permission. All becoming is the exhale. After a lifetime of holding your breath, this is the part where you no longer rise out of pain. You rise beyond the need for it to define your altitude. Soft sovereignty is not the throne. It is the root. It is the deep belonging inside your own being. That cannot be undone by circumstance, timing, or uncertainty. The world may never witness the exact moment of your becoming. The instant the body finally let go of the old contract with fear. But you will feel it in the way your voice sits lower in your chest, in the way your breath lands without asking permission, in the way life touches you now, and you do not recoil. Regulation is the miracle others assume is luck. Safety is the portal manifestation is built upon. What changes your life is not desire. It is capacity. You have not become more worthy of your future. You have become available to it. You do not ascend by reaching higher. You ascend by rooting deeper. The soul does not bloom upward until the nervous system feels safe to release its grip on survival. And here, now, without fanfare, without urgency, without performance, you are blooming. Not because you tried, but because you finally stopped abandoning the ground of yourself. You do not stand in your next level. You receive from it. You live from it. You breathe inside it. Your body is no longer the cage. Between you and your becoming, it is the bridge. It can hold what your spirit carries. It can stay. When goodness arrives, it can open. Without trembling, you are not waiting anymore. You are welcoming, and this quiet, regulated yes is the threshold. The moment where destiny does not find you, it recognizes you. Because at last you match the frequency of the woman your future has been orbiting all along.